Prime Minister of the Republic of India.
Narendra.
India has been the talk of the town, especially since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which has exposed a deep global divide between the East and West. In this background, Western powers such as the United States and France have recently laid out the red carpet for Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a bid to woo New Delhi to their camp, given the country's geostrategic location and the size of its market and economy. This has put the South Asian country in a predicament as the world closely watches its every move to ascertain which side the country is on. So far, India has managed to keep the world guessing. It has adopted a foreign policy which sometimes appears tilting towards the traditional route of non-alignment and on other occasions seems to be batting for the West over the East.
India and the United States hear the cry and the call of destiny to take our nations and the world forward to a future worthy of our dreams.
Or oscillating between the two. This has led to analysts calling out India's foreign policy as opportunistic, with some even suggesting that the country is unreliable as an ally. So what has India done or not done to make people draw these assumptions or conclusions? India is a member of BRICS, which draws its name from the 5 member nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The bloc, comprising the world's largest developing economies, aims to set itself up as an alternative to existing US-led groups such as the Group of Seven or G7, and as a tool towards establishing a multipolar world. Most of the BRICS nations, including China, have wanted to expand the group by including more members as more and more countries show interest in joining it. However, India has not been so excited about the idea, and without New Delhi's support, the bloc cannot admit new members as all decisions in the group are taken with consensus. India has been pushing for a clear definition of principles and criteria for membership. Critics see this move by India as working against BRICS. In another move that hinders the bloc's growth, India has also opted out of the creation of a BRICS currency. India's External Affairs Minister, S. Jaishankar, in a press conference held on July 3, said that the country has no plans for a BRICS currency.
There is no idea of a BRICS currency, if I understood your point rightly, that currencies, to my mind, will remain very much a national issue for a long time to come.
The announcement was made nearly a month before the BRICS summit in South Africa, where all member nations except India are planning to float a new currency to settle international trade payments. This is being seen as a measure to challenge the hegemony of the US dollar and fast-track the phenomenon of de-dollarization. This has led observers to believe that India might be batting for US in BRICS. However, another recent act of New Delhi may turn this theory on its head. On the sidelines of a BRICS national security meeting on July 24 in South Africa, India's National Security Advisor, Ajit Kumar Doval, said that the country will use every means and opportunity at its disposal to facilitate Iran's accession to the bloc. This may upset the US, which seeks to isolate Iran over its nuclear program. India has refused to sanction Russia over the war in Ukraine, despite tremendous pressure from the US. New Delhi was also asked to stop buying Russian oil in a bid to dent Moscow's war chest, but the Modi administration didn't adhere to Western diktats. India is snapping up Russian crude at discounted prices in local currency and selling in dollars, busting Western sanctions and contributing in keeping Moscow's economy afloat. To this, US President Joe Biden responded by saying that India was somewhat shaky in acting against Russia. Biden pointed out that New Delhi was the only country in the Quad or Quadrilateral Security Dialogue to not sanction Russia.
Quad is, with the possible exception of India being somewhat shaky on some of this, but Japan has been extremely strong, so has Australia, in terms of dealing with Putin's aggression. We presented a united front throughout NATO and the Pacific.
Quad is an informal strategic forum comprising of 4 nations, the United States of America, India, Australia, and Japan, and it is basically seen as a strategic grouping to reduce Chinese domination in the Indo-Pacific. While India has urged an end to the violence in Ukraine, it has not condemned its old Cold War ally for the invasion, and it also remains silent on the core issues of Western encirclement of Russia through NATO's eastward expansion. Recently, Iran and India announced plans to step up operationalizing the international North-South transport corridor in the next few months, as per Indian and Iranian media. This will boost trade between India, Iran, and Russia to the dismay of the US. At the same time, New Delhi has decided to boost defense ties with the US and France, especially after Modi's visit to the 2 nations this month, which includes joint development of jet and helicopter engines as well as submarines. This has led many to believe that New Delhi might replace Russia, its biggest supplier of military hardware, with Washington and Paris. In a move that left many surprised, India unilaterally decided to host the China-dominated Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit virtually on July 4th without citing any reason. This indicates that India doesn't give as much importance to the group as it did when it became a full member of SCO in 2017. In this context, India has been accused of spreading disharmony within the SCO, as being the host and only member country to openly oppose Beijing's flagship project, the Belt and Road Initiative, and is unwilling to support the initiative to set up an SCO development bank. The Indian side is understood to be wary of the inclusion of new members who could gravitate towards a power center and make the bloc more China-centric. At the same time, a report by The Hindu claimed that Indian PM Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping reached a consensus to restore bilateral ties during their meeting in Bali last year, citing a statement by Beijing's foreign ministry. The statement cited in the report was issued after a meeting between National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and his counterpart Director of the Central Foreign Affairs Commission of the Communist Party of China Wang Yi in Johannesburg, where both advisors were attending the BRICS meeting of NSAs. The Indian statement on the Doval-Wang meeting did not include any reference to the claim, and instead focused on the continuing line of actual control standoff that Doval said had eroded the public and political basis of the India-China relationship. While critics call this opportunism, others call it the strategic autonomy of India, which according to some New Delhi is successfully asserting and benefiting from. But for how long, is something only time will tell.